The Amish are known as a unique subculture that primarily resides in the United States.
The regular and normal things we enjoy on a daily basis might not be so special for Amish people. For a very long time, these people live simply and peacefully, adhering from their own set of rules, beliefs, and traditions. Did you know just how many things, places, occasions, and trends they avoid? Here are 15 surprising things that could be special for you, but not for the Amish. 1. Modern technology. The Amish have a distinct and deliberate relationship with modern technology, one that sets them apart from mainstream society. While much of the world is shaped by the constant presence of smartphones, computers, and other digital tools, the Amish intentionally avoid most of these technologies. For them, everyday devices like smartphones, computers, and cars are seen not just as tools, but as potential disruptions to their values and way of life. The decision to forego these technologies is rooted in a deep belief that they can undermine the close-knit, family-centered communities that the Amish prioritize. Technologies such as the internet or social media are considered distractions that promote individualism and worldly desires, which are contrary to the Amish commitment to humility and community. One of the core reasons the Amish avoid modern technology is that they believe it can disrupt personal relationships and weaken community bonds. For example, the widespread use of smartphones often leads to a more isolated form of communication, where people are more engaged with their devices than with those physically around them. In contrast, the Amish place a high value on face-to-face interaction. For them, the act of spending time together, sharing experiences, and having conversations in person is central to strengthening familial and communal relationships. They believe that by avoiding the distractions of constant connectivity, they can maintain stronger, more meaningful connections with one another. Their choice is not just about rejecting technology, but about prioritizing the quality of their relationships over the convenience and fast-paced nature of modern life. This lifestyle also promotes a slower pace of life, one where people have time to focus on what they believe are the most important aspects of existence: hard work, family, and community. Modern technologies, such as high-speed internet and entertainment devices, can foster a sense of urgency and disconnection, with people often feeling pressured to keep up with the latest trends, news, and social media updates. The Amish, however, reject this hurried lifestyle in favor of a more deliberate, intentional way of living. They focus their energy on physical labor, working the land, maintaining their homes, and performing tasks that benefit the community. This work is not seen as a burden, but as a meaningful and fulfilling part of their spiritual life. The avoidance of cars is one of the most noticeable examples of the Amish commitment to simplicity and community living. Instead of owning and driving cars like most people,
Amish man in Michigan is putting a new spin on ride-sharing. He's using his horse and buggy.
They rely on horse-drawn buggies as their primary form of transportation. This choice may seem unusual to those outside the community, but for the Amish, it is a deliberate and important one. The use of buggies serves several purposes. On a practical level, it slows down the pace of travel, which reflects their preference for simple, humble living. Cars, with their ability to travel quickly and often alone, can create a sense of separation between people. In contrast, the Amish community places a strong emphasis on collective experiences and cooperation. When they travel, they are more likely to do so together in a shared vehicle, promoting social interaction and a sense of equality. Additionally, the decision to use buggies over cars is in line with their avoidance of anything that could promote individualism or vanity. Cars are often associated with status, wealth, and independence, all of which can conflict with Amish values of modesty and community cohesion. This lifestyle, centered around modesty, community, and simplicity, is designed to protect the Amish from the external influences that modern technology can bring. By not using smartphones, computers, or cars, the Amish can avoid the distractions and pressures of the modern world. Instead, they live lives that are grounded in their faith, committed to hard work, family, and personal relationships. Fascinated yet? We're just getting started. 2. Electricity. The Amish way of life extends to their rejection of public electricity, which they believe could have a negative impact on their community's moral and spiritual well-being. Instead of relying on the electric grid, Amish homes often use alternative power sources, such as gas lamps, propane, or solar panels, which align more closely with their value of simplicity and self-sufficiency. This choice is not just about avoiding modern comforts. It's about maintaining the integrity of their community by limiting outside influences. By not relying on electricity, the Amish are also able to maintain a more controlled, quiet, and serene environment in their homes.
The Amish community is often seen as the embodiment of simplicity, peace, and tradition.
This avoids the distractions and temptations that come with things like modern appliances, lights, and entertainment, which could lead to a more secular or individualistic lifestyle, further distancing themselves from the world around them. 3. Television. In Amish communities, the television is generally seen as a source of negative influence. It is considered a significant distraction that can lead to moral decay, spreading worldly values and interests that conflict with Amish principles. Amish leaders argue that TV viewing often exposes individuals to inappropriate content, modern culture, and external pressures that could undermine the tight-knit, humble nature of their communities. Instead of spending time in front of a screen, Amish people prefer to engage in more meaningful social activities, such as family meals, community gatherings, and work that reinforces their values of simplicity, modesty, and cooperation. In place of TV, many Amish families gather around the dinner table to discuss their daily lives, share experiences, or read religious texts, fostering strong relationships and preserving their way of life. 4. Social media. Social media is also something that Amish communities avoid, as they believe it is another form of modern technology that could encourage individualism and disrupt the sense of community they prioritize. The rise of platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter has brought new ways for people to connect. But for the Amish, these digital spaces can promote values that clash with their teachings. For example, the constant sharing of personal information or opinions could create division or pride, both of which are discouraged in Amish culture. Instead, the Amish place a high value on face-to-face interaction, something they believe fosters stronger, more genuine relationships. In the absence of online communication, the Amish rely on personal visits, phone calls, and handwritten letters to stay connected with one another, allowing for more meaningful, direct conversations that strengthen their sense of community. 5. Fashion trends. While the broader world often defines fashion trends based on seasonal changes, celebrity influence, and the ever-changing whims of the fashion industry, the Amish maintain a distinct approach to clothing that is grounded in timelessness, modesty, and practicality. For the Amish, fashion is not about following trends or keeping up with the latest styles. Instead, it is about adhering to a set of values that prioritize humility, community, and faith over personal expression or individualism. The Amish clothing style is designed to reflect their religious beliefs and societal values, creating a visual uniformity that reinforces their commitment to a simpler, more humble way of life. Women's clothing typically consists of long dresses with modest necklines, aprons, and head coverings that are often worn at all times, both inside and outside the home. These garments are carefully selected to ensure that modesty is upheld in both appearance and behavior. The dresses are often made from plain, durable fabrics, with solid colors such as blue, green, or black, and without any flashy patterns or decorations. The head coverings, often bonnets or caps, are worn as a sign of submission and humility, symbolizing respect for God and the community. Similarly, men's clothing tends to consist of plain shirts, trousers, and suspenders, with the simplicity of the attire reflecting the Amish avoidance of unnecessary adornment. Dark colors and solid fabrics are the norm, reinforcing the Amish preference for modesty over extravagance. This approach to clothing is not influenced by seasonal fashion changes or external pressures. Unlike in mainstream society, where the latest designer labels or seasonal collections determine what's in or out, Amish clothing remains consistent throughout the year. The Amish view clothing as a tool for modesty and functionality, rather than as a means of self-expression or a way to compete for status. The unchanging nature of their attire is also a rejection of the concept of consumerism, which is pervasive in modern society. Rather than constantly updating their wardrobes to reflect the latest trends, the Amish wear clothing that is designed to last, be practical, and stay true to their values. The use of sturdy, simple materials ensures that their clothes serve their intended purpose without the need for constant replacement. The consistent and uniform style of clothing worn by the Amish also plays a significant role in fostering a sense of unity within their communities. By dressing in similar, modest attire, Amish individuals avoid drawing attention to themselves or creating divisions based on wealth or personal taste. In mainstream society, clothing is often used as a way to display personal wealth, social status, or individuality. This leads to competition and a sense of separation between people. However, in Amish communities, the focus is on collective values and the idea that no one should be elevated above others based on superficial qualities like appearance. Instead, the Amish see themselves as equals before God, and their clothing serves as a visual reminder of this equality. The choice to dress uniformly helps to eliminate competition and pride, reinforcing the Amish belief in community over individualism. The Amish's rejection of ever-changing fashion trends also speaks to their desire to remain separate from the distractions and superficiality of mainstream society. For them, the emphasis on modest clothing is a form of resistance to the materialism and vanity that often accompany popular fashion trends. By foregoing the constant pursuit of the latest styles and brand-name clothing, the Amish can focus their energies on more meaningful pursuits, such as spiritual growth, family life, and community involvement. In their eyes, vanity, status, and the constant cycle of fashion consumption can lead individuals away from their core beliefs of humility and simplicity. Therefore, their clothing is not just a physical necessity, but a spiritual symbol that reinforces their commitment to a life that prioritizes modesty, community, and faith over materialistic pursuits. Have you seen any Amish wedding ceremonies? It's super rare because they keep it low-key. 6. Wedding ceremonies. Amish weddings are a reflection of their values of humility, simplicity, and community. Unlike mainstream weddings, which often feature elaborate ceremonies, expensive venues, and extravagant celebrations, Amish weddings are intimate and low-key. They typically take place in the home of one of the families or at a local church, with the focus on the spiritual significance of the union rather than on outward displays of wealth or opulence. Guests wear modest, traditional clothing, and there is often a simple meal served after the ceremony. The emphasis is on the community coming together to support the couple, rather than on personal or family prestige. Amish weddings also tend to be less formal in terms of ceremonial practices, focusing instead on the vows and the beginning of a shared life built on faith, hard work, and mutual support. 7. Cars. One of the most recognizable aspects of Amish culture is their rejection of cars. Instead of driving modern vehicles, the Amish rely on horse-drawn buggies as their primary mode of transportation. This practice is deeply rooted in their desire to live a simple, humble life and avoid the distractions of modern society. The use of buggies allows the Amish to move around their communities while maintaining a sense of separation from the broader world. The horse and buggy are seen as more sustainable, slower-paced alternatives that encourage thoughtful living and social interaction. Additionally, by not owning cars, Amish families avoid the expenses and temptations associated with modern transportation, reinforcing their commitment to a lifestyle that prioritizes family, community, and work over materialism. 8. Higher education. The Amish approach to education is different from that of mainstream society. They typically do not pursue higher education beyond the 8th grade, as they believe that formal schooling is unnecessary for the kind of life they lead. After completing their primary education, Amish youth usually begin to learn practical skills like farming, carpentry, or sewing, which will help them contribute to the community. The focus on practical knowledge ensures that young Amish people are well prepared to contribute to the family and community in meaningful ways, rather than pursuing academic or professional careers. This decision is influenced by their belief that the skills needed for their way of life do not require advanced education, and that higher learning can often lead to worldly distractions or individualism. In Amish culture, practical work and community involvement are highly valued, and formal education is seen as secondary to these goals. 9. Commercial farming. Amish farming practices are deeply rooted in tradition, focusing on methods that have been passed down through generations. Unlike large-scale commercial farming operations that rely on modern machinery, pesticides, and synthetic fertilizers, the Amish typically use manual labor, hand tools, and horse-drawn plows for cultivating their land. They emphasize sustainable, organic farming practices, growing a variety of crops to feed their families and communities. This method of farming requires a strong work ethic and cooperation between family members and neighbors, as there is little room for the efficiency that modern machinery brings. The Amish are committed to maintaining their connection to the land, working it in a way that is both practical and spiritually fulfilling. By avoiding commercial farming techniques, the Amish resist the industrialization of agriculture, preserving their values of simplicity and self-sufficiency. 10. Public display of affection. In Amish culture, public displays of affection, such as kissing or holding hands in public, are generally considered inappropriate and disrespectful. The Amish place a strong emphasis on modesty and humility, and physical affection is viewed as a private matter that should be expressed in a more discreet, reserved way. Public demonstrations of affection can be seen as a distraction from the focus on spiritual growth and community, and they could also lead to unwanted attention or pride. Amish couples may express affection in private, but they are careful to maintain the boundaries of decorum in public settings. This cultural norm reflects the Amish commitment to maintaining a simple, modest lifestyle that minimizes the influence of individual desires and maintains harmony within the community. Oops! Beware of doing PDAs in front of your Amish friends and neighbors, if you have some. 11. Birth control. The Amish reject the use of birth control because they believe that children are a blessing from God. For them, the natural process of reproduction is a central aspect of family life, and limiting the number of children is seen as interfering with God's plan. Amish families generally have larger numbers of children, as raising many children is viewed as both a joy and a responsibility. Children are seen as essential for maintaining the family farm, helping with household tasks, and continuing the Amish way of life. Furthermore, the Amish believe in community-centered living, and larger families are beneficial because they contribute to the community's overall strength and cohesion. Instead of birth control, Amish couples typically rely on natural family planning methods. They place a strong emphasis on faith, humility, and obedience to divine will, which includes accepting whatever number of children they are blessed with. This stance also stems from their belief in family growth as a form of spiritual fulfillment and a way to strengthen their bond with one another. 12. Public entertainment. Amish communities intentionally avoid public entertainment, such as movie theaters, concerts, and other mainstream forms of entertainment, because they see them as distractions from their values of modesty, community, and faith. For the Amish, entertainment is often seen as a worldly influence that can detract from the purpose of their lives, which is focused on God, family, and hard work. Activities like attending movies or concerts are thought to expose them to secular values and behaviors that conflict with their lifestyle. Instead of indulging in public entertainment, Amish people engage in community-centered activities such as gatherings, games, and socializing with family and neighbors, which allow them to strengthen social bonds without the influences of outside culture. They place greater value on personal interactions and activities that foster spiritual growth and the maintenance of close-knit communities. For instance, Amish weddings, church services, and community meetings are important social events that emphasize their collective way of life. 13. Healthcare. The Amish have a distinct approach to health and wellness, which often contrasts sharply with the practices embraced by modern society. One of the defining features of Amish healthcare is their preference for natural remedies and alternative medicine over conventional medical treatments.
The Amish may travel to the doctor the old-fashioned way, but when they get there, they take advantage of modern medicine.
This preference is rooted in their belief in self-reliance and their understanding that healing is ultimately a gift from God. For the Amish, the body is seen as a vessel that, with God's guidance and natural means, can recover from illness and injury without the need for modern medical interventions. This belief system has led the Amish to rely heavily on herbal remedies, homeopathy, and other traditional practices to address everyday health issues such as colds, headaches, and minor aches and pains. Many Amish families have a long-standing tradition of using plants, herbs, and natural substances to treat ailments. For example, herbal teas are often used to soothe sore throats or digestive issues, while certain plants are believed to have healing properties for more severe conditions. In addition to herbal treatments, other traditional healing practices, such as homeopathic remedies or essential oils, are commonly used to support health. This approach places a strong emphasis on prevention, focusing on maintaining health through diet, exercise, and a holistic lifestyle, rather than relying on pharmaceutical treatments to manage or cure illnesses. When medical intervention is absolutely necessary, the Amish are not opposed to seeking care from trusted healthcare professionals. However, their choice of treatment is often influenced by their values and the degree to which a treatment aligns with their beliefs in simplicity and humility. For instance, Amish individuals may be less inclined to use certain modern interventions, such as vaccines, which they view as unnecessary, or undergo advanced surgeries that they believe may be invasive or disruptive to the natural course of life. This approach reflects their cautious stance toward technology and modern medicine, preferring instead to address health issues in a manner that feels more aligned with their spiritual and cultural values. Despite this, the Amish are not categorically opposed to modern medicine, particularly in emergency situations or life-threatening circumstances. In cases like childbirth, serious accidents, or acute health crises, the Amish may seek out care from hospitals or qualified medical professionals. This pragmatic approach allows them to strike a balance between their faith-based beliefs and the practical realities of modern healthcare. For example, while some Amish individuals may resist the idea of elective surgeries, they would likely accept medical intervention in the case of an emergency surgery that is required to save a life. The Amish also maintain a strong emphasis on community support as part of their healthcare approach. When an individual is ill or recovering from an injury, neighbors and family members often provide care, offering assistance with daily tasks and offering emotional and spiritual support. Prayer is an important part of the healing process, as the Amish believe that God's guidance and intervention play a crucial role in recovery. This sense of shared responsibility within the community ensures that those in need of care are not left isolated, and it reinforces the Amish value of mutual aid and compassion. At the heart of the Amish approach to health is the concept of living simply and trusting in the natural rhythms of life. They view their bodies as part of a greater design, and the healing process is seen as something that should unfold naturally, rather than through the intervention of modern technology or pharmaceuticals. This worldview is consistent with their broader way of life, which emphasizes modesty, humility, and faith. By relying on natural remedies, traditional care, and the support of their community, the Amish create a healthcare model that is centered on self-sufficiency, spiritual faith, and the belief that true health is found through simplicity and connection with nature. Overall, the Amish approach to healthcare reflects their deep-rooted values of faith, community, and simplicity. While they acknowledge the benefits of modern medicine in certain situations, their preference for natural conservative treatments underscores their commitment to a lifestyle that prioritizes self-reliance, holistic care, and the wisdom of traditional practices. It is a system of care that is intertwined with their spiritual beliefs and their overall philosophy of life, one that seeks to live in harmony with the natural world and avoid the excesses and distractions of modern society. 14. Consumerism. The Amish reject consumerism, resisting the widespread desire to accumulate wealth, material possessions, and luxuries. While mainstream society often encourages purchasing the latest gadgets, clothes, and luxury items, the Amish focus on living a life of simplicity and humility. They believe that consumerism leads to excess and materialism, which can interfere with spiritual growth and community values. Amish people live modestly, usually purchasing only what they absolutely need, and often opting for handmade or locally sourced goods. They reject the societal pressure to keep up with the latest trends and focus instead on practicality and sustainability. For instance, they might not buy new clothes for fashion's sake, instead opting for durable, simple clothing that will last. Non-essential goods and services are avoided, and the Amish are cautious about accumulating unnecessary wealth. This rejection of consumerism is in line with their desire to remain separate from the outside world and maintain their commitment to faith, family, and community. 15. Luxury cars. While luxury cars and high-end vehicles are symbols of status and success in mainstream society, the Amish avoid such indulgences, instead opting for simple, practical, horse-drawn buggies for transportation. This choice is a reflection of their values of humility and modesty. The Amish believe that flashy cars represent pride and individualism, both of which they actively avoid.
The Amish believe that cars encourage independence and separation from the community. They prefer to travel at a slower pace, staying connected to their neighbors.
The decision to forego cars and use buggies instead is not only a practical one, since it aligns with their belief in using simple, non-disruptive transportation, but it also signifies their desire to stay apart from the worldly allure of material success. In Amish culture, the horse and buggy symbolize a connection to tradition and the natural world. It is also a way to maintain their community's close-knit structure. People can move around their neighborhoods in a way that fosters interaction and connection, rather than speeding past others in a private car. The Amish prioritize functional and humble means of transportation, ensuring that their vehicles are not used to create separation between people, but to maintain a sense of equality and togetherness. Why do Amish live, think, and celebrate like they do? Amish people are generally accepted in the United States, but they live in a unique way that sets them apart from mainstream society. While their lifestyle and beliefs may seem unusual or even outdated to many, the Amish are largely respected for their commitment to faith, family, and community. The United States, with its strong emphasis on religious freedom and individual rights, allows the Amish to practice their way of life with little interference. This respect for their right to live according to their beliefs has allowed them to establish communities, primarily in rural areas of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana, where they can preserve their traditions. That said, there can be some misunderstandings or misconceptions about the Amish way of life, as their rejection of modern technology, formal education past the 8th grade, and certain medical treatments might seem out of place in today's fast-paced world. However, they generally coexist peacefully with their non-Amish neighbors, who often admire the Amish for their work ethic, simplicity, and strong family values. In fact, many people from outside the Amish communities visit Amish areas for tourism, attracted by the peaceful lifestyle, traditional craftsmanship, and beautiful landscapes. Despite their differences, the Amish enjoy a level of tolerance and understanding in the U.S., largely because their practices are seen as part of the country's long history of religious diversity. While conflicts can arise over issues like schooling, use of modern technology, or legal matters, Amish communities tend to work through these challenges while maintaining their commitment to a life separate from modern society. The Amish choose to live simply and differently from the rest of the world because of their deep commitment to their faith, community, and traditions. Central to Amish life is the belief that living modestly helps them stay humble and focused on their relationship with God. They reject the distractions of modern society, such as technology and materialism, in favor of a lifestyle that emphasizes community, faith, and family. For the Amish, simplicity is not just about avoiding luxury. It's about creating a life that centers around spirituality and practicality. By avoiding modern technologies like cars and smartphones, they foster close-knit relationships and focus on meaningful, face-to-face connections. This also helps them remain separate from the influence of the outside world, which they often see as overly individualistic and distracted by consumerism. The Amish live by the principle of nonconformity, choosing to stand apart from mainstream culture to preserve their values. Their lifestyle allows them to live more intentionally, with less emphasis on wealth and personal success, and more on being part of a supportive community. In essence, the Amish way of life reflects their desire to prioritize simplicity, faith, and humility over the complexities and pressures of modern society. The Amish believe that living simply allows them to avoid the temptations and distractions that can lead people away from their faith and values. In a world where consumerism often dictates people's choices and defines success, the Amish choose to live with only what is necessary. They prioritize self-sufficiency and hard work, with many Amish families relying on farming or small businesses to support their communities. By focusing on practical needs and rejecting unnecessary luxuries, they cultivate a sense of peace and fulfillment that isn't dependent on external validation or material wealth. Additionally, their simple lifestyle fosters a deep sense of community. The Amish are known for their strong social networks, where neighbors support one another in times of need and celebrations. This interdependence creates a solid foundation for their way of life, allowing them to live with a sense of shared responsibility. While the modern world often emphasizes individualism, the Amish emphasize collective well-being, where everyone's actions are meant to serve the greater good. This close-knit approach to life reinforces their belief that true happiness and success come from living in harmony with one another and their faith, rather than seeking external achievements or possessions. Do you know some Amish people in your neighborhood? Tell us what you think. Thanks for watching the video.